Hey, y'all, welcome to the Why Podcast, where why is always the question. And man, I have a treat for y'all today, something that has been on my mind, that has been in the media, that everybody and their mama has been talking about, and that is DEI.
DEI is just a rebranded version of hating white people.
DEI, in this case, stands for divisive, erroneous, and insidious.
DEI, which stands for didn't earn it.
Discrimination, exclusion, and indoctrination.
Target is one of those being targeted for the nationwide boycott. This after the national chain joined others in eliminating its diversity, equity, and inclusion programs.
The debate in colleges and universities over diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives, or DEI, has been heating up around the country. And the backlash, politically and socially, to previous programs has been growing.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I'm not even going to act like, a few years ago, I didn't know what the heck they were talking about DEI. It was just thrown around as a soundbite so much. I'm like, DEI, what's that? What are you talking about?
Flap and flotsam, what's that?
It wasn't until I got back into corporate where I was like, and what is this for real, right? And so for today's why was DEI marketed the way that it was? So a lot of people, I noticed, was looking at DEI like it was some kind of black thing, like some kind of affirmative action. I can say that DEI, the spirit of DEI, can be traced back to the Civil Rights Act of 1964, where our forefathers, namely that we all talk about and learn about on Black History Month, like he is the only person that was a part of this, was Martin Luther King. Of course, there were many others that, also assisted Martin Luther King in helping to get this bill passed. We already know that President Kennedy was working on it before he was assassinated, and therefore President Lyndon B. Johnson took it over and decided that he was going to be the one that, help spearhead this and not kill it. That so many of our, Black revolutionists and people's of the Civil Rights Act thought that he was going to do. But he also had assistance from Bayard Rustin, who was a close advisor to Martin Luther King. We have Ralph Abernathy, and I could go on and on and on because there were so many across the country that were fighting for civil rights. And I'm going to tell you something, even though so many other people were able to benefit from civil rights, which I don't care about that. We just wanted to say, hey, we want our names and ourselves thrown in the hat to be treated fairly. Simple as that. Not to say it means to be above someone else, because we are just as intelligent, just as smart, just as fast, just as well equipped as anyone else. We just wanted our fair shot. And so when I was hearing so much about DEI, I was like, dang, I'm talking to my husband like, man, this was marketed like it was a black thing. And then so many different groups were like, when so many companies like Target and the Walmarts or whatnot had started getting rid of DEI, right? And so I was like, well, let's go into what DEI stood for. The DEI initiatives was built on a foundation of laws and regulations. It was designed to prevent discrimination against race, sex, color, religion, sexual orientation, disability, and national origin. That doesn't in any manner sound like it's just the black thing, though it was marketed as though it was the black thing. And when it went away, those that benefited the most from it, which weren't of black descent, not that I wanted us to only benefit, again, just wanted our fair shot, were shocked that, oh my gosh, we were a part of the DEI initiative as well. Yeah. Because diversity, equity, inclusion means diversity, equity, inclusion of everyone. Honestly, it really means diversity, equity, inclusion of everyone that isn't the white, straight Anglo male. Really, that's what it really meant. So anyone that wasn't that was able to benefit. Women, people with special needs or disabilities. I have a video where I talk about ageism, age. I was it was so perturbed for me. I'm like, this is interesting, because we want fair treatment and we should have fair treatment across the board. And when people thought that DEI was just for black people, they were and it was done away with, they were happy, because it was just for that group, and it wasn't. because it also included those that were like rallying and saying, yeah. So, but if DEI was meant for everyone, which it was, why was it marketed in a way that made it seem that it was only for Black people? How did this messaging shape the backlash and misunderstanding around it? I didn't understand that. So I want to break down just a little bit of DEI, the branding, the politics, and the impact. I'm just going to cover 5 key points. I don't want to make this long-winded, y'all. I ain't here to preach. I'm just here to answer the questions of why. I'm asking the questions of why, we asking the questions of why, and then we're answering the questions of why. And that's just what my goal is here today, to have fun with y'all and in an intellectual way where we can have a great conversation and continue the comments down below in the comment section, right? So the true purpose of DEI, which I already went over, diversity, equity, inclusion, originally designed to promote inclusivity across race, gender, disability, age, and other identities. DEI was meant to benefit all marginalized groups. All marginalized groups. If you are a marginalized group, it was meant to help you. We know about women's suffrage. Women are what? A marginalized group, right? Those who are looked down as less than, not equal to. Again, if you are not a straight white Anglo male, you're a marginalized group. That's just the reality of it all. It's okay, people. We can say it. All right. Next. The corporate marketing and public perception, right? Many companies and media outlets focused their DEI messaging primarily on racial issues, particularly Black communities, especially after major events like the murder of George Floyd in 2020. And this created a narrow and sometimes misleading perception. So we're getting to the root of why people thought it was a Black thing. When these different events happened and these issues were brought up, and then we would have somebody throw something like DEI in the mix of it, just like people would throw Black Lives Matter into it. And we're not even going to get on that because, people don't even understand what that whole premise was about. They already narrow-mindedly associated DEI Black. DEI Black, not DEI white woman, not DEI Hispanic woman, not DEI Asian woman, not DEI special needs, not DEI disabilities, not DEI gay white man, gay Black man, gay Asian man, not DEI or queer or LGBTQ, not DEI LGBTQ, not DEI 1 foot, not DEI ageism. It was marketed as DEI Black folks because it surrounded particular events, in this case, which I just mentioned, the murder of George Floyd in 2020. Interesting. And I'm going to tell you, in my ignorance, yeah, I would have thought the same thing, but I like to research things. Sometimes I like to go super deep. Sometimes I go a little bit, beneath surface level, but I knew better. I knew better because even though I see the Civil Rights Act of 1964, I'm like, we didn't benefit like as much as others. I've seen others benefit. We see other groups that have gotten rights that we should have already been able to be privy to and have had as well. It's all about equal opportunity, people. Equal opportunity. I'm not asking for a handout. I am just as intelligent, well-versed as anyone else. There is nothing that I can't do that I don't put my mind to. That's okay. I can do that. Just equality. I don't care or don't mind to talk about it. But we have this racial undercurrent and overbelly of people feeling as though if they give any equality to anyone, it's going to be everyone else except for people of color, hence Black people. And I say Black people because Black is not a race, it is a color. And the last time I looked, my skin is brown and this microphone is Black. I'm just saying. So that was that. Another thing I wanted to go into, it's political and social pushback. The framing of DEI as a Black-only initiative made it a political target, fueling backlash from those who saw it as exclusionary or as a form as reverse discrimination. So people who didn't understand DEI either and thinking it was a black thing because of the way it was marketed was saying, oh, they're getting all of these benefits. You know, you can walk into Target, right? We see a little section and they have like a lot of, cultural things that were targeted to people of color, most namely black people, whether it was hair products, clothing. It was like, oh, that's cool, right? I mean, for me, I'm just like, I'm not about to even go there. I'm not about to go there. But people looked at it as a blacks only initiative. And so, again, when it was done away with, they were like, woohoo! Everybody was shouting from the mountaintops until they realized it affected them. And they were like, wait, what happened? That's how people get you in ignorance. They get you in ignorance. You don't know. When they come up with any new initiative in Congress, wherever that may be, research it. Because others that benefit from it, they research it and they figure out a way they benefit from it, which is why they do. Let's be for real. Okay. Number 4, intersectionality in DEI. DEI encompasses far more than race. It includes gender equality, disability rights, LGBTQ+, which is inclusion, which is what I mentioned, and workplace accommodations. However, marketing often fails to highlight these aspects, reinforcing the misconception that DEI was solely about race. It showed no one in any shape or form that I just mentioned that DEI included that type of equality. Disabilities? No, didn't see that. I see LGBTQ+ inclusion everywhere. I see that everywhere, whether it's in television shows, whether it's in commercials, where I'm like, I don't want to be, do you? I saw that they benefited a lot. So I'm not even going to sit here and act like they didn't. We're not going to act like they didn't because we see the push. We saw the push. We still see the push. So if anybody I could see that benefited the most was like the LGBTQ+ or Caucasian straight white women, because they are marginalized and considered marginalized. Before it to be marketed as though it was a black thing, that right there was asinine. Like, really? It was not a black thing. And my 5th topic is who benefited from the messaging. I think the little rant I just went on, we kind of could tell, right? The way DEI was branded helped some corporations appear socially responsible, even when they failed to implement real systematic change. Meanwhile, the narrow framing allowed critics to attack DEI without acknowledging its broader benefits. Go figure. I had a video that I wanted to share how DEI got hijacked, the real conversation we need to have. However, it was removed from YouTube. Can't find it anywhere. If I find it, I'll take this video, repurpose it, and re-include it into this video. However, I felt the need to mention it because I thought it was a really good video, a good watch, a good discussion to have some to comment around and to talk about. Why not? I don't understand why people find it so scary or uncomfortable to talk about real issues, especially when it comes to race. We know this country is built on racial tension. It just is. Let's be for real. And then we see everyone around us that gets to benefit except for those of color who built the country. And then we get our history removed. It's like, really? It's built on racial tension. Yeah. So I am going to also recommend a wonderful book. Now, I got to read. Let's go over to Reading Corner to discuss this. So a book that I want to highlight in the Reading Corner or to spotlight in the Reading Corner is The Diversity Delusion, How Race and Gender Pandering Corrupt the University and Undermine Our Culture. It is on Audible. You can download it, listen to it, stop, have discussions about it with your friends, families, peers. I mean, why not? It talks about how America is in a crisis from the university to the workplace, how toxic ideas first spread by higher education have undermined humanistic values, fueled intolerance, and widened divisions in our larger culture. We have students that emerge into the workplace believing that human beings are defined by their skin, their color, their gender, and sexual preference, and that opposition based on these characteristics is the American experience. The diversity inclusion argues that the root of this problem is the belief in America's endemic racism and sexism, a belief that has engendered metastasizing diversity, bureaucracy, in society and academia. Nonetheless, this book is a good listen to if you are into tackling the hard topics to discuss, whether you agree or disagree. So our spotlight, you can go ahead over to Audible. I have a link in my bio where I'm an affiliate. I am not sponsored by Audible. One day I will be. Today is not that day. But I have a link in my description. You can go ahead and click that link and go and sign up and subscribe. Now back to the show. So in covering the 5 topics of why DEI was marketed the way it was, we can all see and understand why most people would think it was a black thing. And they knew what they were doing. The media propagates everything. They knew what they were doing when they were doing it. And because, let me tell you, and I'm going to say this, if you get offended, move on. But this is not something to get offended by. If something as big and as important as DEI was marketed to only seem as though it was for black people, then it comes off as like, so no one should care about it because it's for those people. And we do not want them to benefit, because if they benefit, then we can all be on equal playing fields. And we don't even want that. So if we market it that way, even though it's not just for them, then those that it also includes, we won't get much pushback from them because they don't realize that it includes them. See, if people with disabilities or other races, or of people of sex, like women, or LGBTQ plus, even though I saw them benefit greatly, however, even them, or those of whatever origin, national origin, whatever, if they themselves saw that they would be affected, there would be a huger uproar, and those DEI dollars would have to be used properly. But see, because it was marketed only for black people, nobody cared. Nobody for black. Oh, I'm not about to push that. And then now everybody's in an uproar, and they're like, "Black people, where are you? Help us!" And it's like, no, because our people are going to continue to do what we've always done. We really are the ones that laced up our bootstraps and had to keep walking and trenching forward in the trenches without the help and assistance. They had to fight for it, had to give our lives for it, had to give our children's lives for it, and still are fighting till this day. So why was DEI marketed the way it was? Because they wanted the world, especially those in this country, to believe it was only for black people, and therefore they wouldn't have to actually follow through on the real agenda of diversity, equity, and inclusion. So let me tell y'all, I'm done. That was my rant. Y'all, I got to say something. I'm not just a pretty face sitting here. I got some things to say. So thanks for joining me on another episode of Why DEI Was Marketed the Way It Was on the Why podcast. And if today's discussion made you think differently, share this episode, drop a comment, and let's keep the conversation going, because we know it's not going to stop. And I'm going to leave y'all with this as always. I'm going to always leave y'all with this. Question everything. Because why is always the question. And I'm out, y'all. Peace.